What if Padme Amidala survived? Part 2. Due to popular demand, we're returning to this previous idea and seeing what the will of the Force is.
Yes. Everything that Senator Amidalla claims is true. I was aware that Chancellor Palpatine was a Sith Lord, and did nothing. I allowed myself to be seduced by the dark side, and committed unspeakable acts in his name. And I helped murder the Jedi, and wipe out the CIS Council. I did this so that the galaxy would know what kind of man our so-called Emperor is.
As he finishes his confession, Anakin would upload it to the holonet, allowing the galaxy to see which side Darth Vader was on. He hoped that this would galvanize more worlds into action. Unfortunately, their recruiting efforts had slowed. After their initial victory over the Empire, many worlds joined the rebellion or secretly sent supplies. Palpatine had responded with brutal crackdowns. Now exposed as a tyrant, he decided to lean into it. He deployed fleets of Star Destroyers to rebellious worlds, launching invasions or committing orbital bombardments. Among these victims were Mon Cala, Ryloth, and Rhodia. Seeing the destruction they caused, many potential allies were intimidated into silence. He would have done the same for Naboo too, but the once peaceful planet was now a fortress world. With their victory, they had wasted no time in gathering allies and supplies for the upcoming war. Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka reached out to old contacts for help. Anakin managed to recruit Hondo and other pirates from a privateer fleet. Ahsoka contacted Saw Gerrera, Lux Bontari, and Onderon. And Obi-Wan managed to secure an alliance with Bo-Katan's Mandalorians. To strengthen their position, they spent years pillaging the battlefields across the galaxy for leftovers of the Clone Wars, salvaging assets from the Trade Federation, Techno-Union, and Corporate Alliance. In an ironic twist of fate, the same droids and ships previously used to oppress Naboo to begin this conflict were now its primary line of defense. But soldiers and dissidents were not the only ones to join the resistance. Padme ordered that shelter be provided for all Jedi who survived Order 66. A small temple was now founded where Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Anakin act as the Grand Masters. There they managed to recruit many of the surviving Jedi, but also used their web of smugglers and bounty hunters to find Force-sensitive younglings. Although only a fraction of the original Order's size, these Jedi have a small but thriving temple with a new generation of younglings. Among the most promising are Anakin's children, Luke and Leia, who are being trained by Ahsoka. Both show much potential of their parents' abilities, while Luke being a natural pilot, Force user, and blaster user, and Leia being a keen thinker, duelist, and diplomat. However, while they displayed considerable skill, both were untested as they remained under the tutelage of Ahsoka. Luke and Leia do get their chance when Hondo requests that Ahsoka and her Padawans join him for a smuggling operation, as the client claims he knows her.
So, who is this client of yours and what are we transporting?
My boy, you learn quickly that it is best not to ask too many questions. I do a job, they pay me, and I get my money.
You mean the rebellion gets its money?
Oh yes, that too.
The ship leaves for its destination, Kashyyyk. Like many people, the Wookiees are sympathetic to the rebels, but too scared to rebel themselves, especially with such a large Imperial garrison there. That is why the client wants to get off the planet. Once they arrive in the system, the group lands deep in the woods, away from the urban centers. Ahsoka and Hondo survey the area and meet with the client. After a moment, a roar echoes across the trees as a group of Wookiees arrive, led by Chewbacca. Ahsoka is surprised to see him there, but is pleased to see her friend is safe. Chewbacca explains that the Empire has begun enslaving the Wookiees and is forcing them to work on some massive project off-world. Seeing his people being carted off-world, Chewbacca decides to lead a force of volunteers to join the resistance on Naboo. Luke reports all of this to Anakin right before blaster fire echoes through the woods and cuts down the nearest Wookiee and pirates. He runs out to see attackers from the trees while Ahsoka and his sister try to protect the wounded. Before they can depart, a rocket bursts from the tree line and destroys their ship. Suddenly, a squad of Trandoshan hunters bursts out from the trees. These hunters had followed the Wookiees and were led by the Grand Inquisitor. The Inquisitor orders the Jedi to be killed, but the Wookiees are to be captured. Blaster fire immediately pours into the forest as pirates and Wookiees are cut down. Ahsoka, Luke, and Leia form a protective perimeter with their lightsabers, while their soldiers fire from behind. The Grand Inquisitor hangs back, allowing his troops to soften them up. Seeing this, Leia rushes forward and attacks him. The Inquisitor sidesteps her attacks and nearly takes her head, sending Leia off balance. Before he can deliver the final blow, Ahsoka leaps forward and defends her student. She calls for a retreat into the forest. The pirates throw grenades at the Trandoshans, opening a path for them to escape. The leader of the Trandoshans, Bossk, wants to pursue them, but the Grand Inquisitor raises a hand.
Patience. They sent a transmission out, which means that the greater prizes are coming. One that will please both the Emperor and your scorekeeper. Take half your men with the third sister to hunt them down, but keep the rest with me. The Naboo government hears nothing from the smuggling mission, which begins to worry Anakin. Their last transmission was cut off after the sound of battle, and he insisted on departing with a group of Mandalorian soldiers to look for them. Lux Bontari is reluctant to dispatch another Jedi on this mission, especially as Obi-Wan is on a mission to salvage supplies with Saw Gerrera, but Padme gives her approval. Meanwhile, the smuggling team spends the next few days in a running battle. The hunters are never far, and in several skirmishes that further deplete their numbers. They eventually find some shelter in a large cave system. However, they cannot stay long as the hunters aren't far behind.
We have to keep moving. I can already hear them.
And go where exactly? With all due respect, we can't outrun them.
We have to, if you don't want to end up dead.
The wounded can't keep going, and we've already lost half our troops. I think we need a change of strategy.
They have an Inquisitor with them.
As much as I'd rather not fight another laser sword-wielding maniac, I must agree with the young ones. Running won't do us any good unless we have a place to go.
Ahsoka reluctantly agrees. They decide to ambush the hunters in the caves before caving it in. The team splits into two groups, with Ahsoka and Hondo taking most of the men down one passage, while Chewbacca, Luke, and Leia lead the wounded down another. Shortly after, the hunting party soon finds them. Bossk and most of the hunters follow after Ahsoka, but her troops blast the walls down. Over them, she catches a glimpse of the third sister running after Luke and Leia. Bossk is among those who survived the crash and stands before them, blaster held ready. A firefight soon breaks out between the remaining fighters and Ahsoka's rebels. Snarling, Bossk focuses on Ahsoka, trying to keep her at bay, but she's too nimble and leaps towards him. Before she can finish him off, the bounty hunter swings his rifle and bats her aside. However, he's immediately electrocuted by Hondo's electrostaff. The pirate tries to deliver another blow, but Bossk punches him in the stomach and tries to do the same with Ahsoka. The Jedi slides from side to side to avoid his powerful blows before jerking her legs at his face and leaping up to her feet. As he reels, Ahsoka swings her lightsaber and takes one of his arms off. Before she does the same with the other, Bossk gives her a backhand and turns to see Hondo thrusting his staff at him and elbows him back. The bounty hunter dodges the attack and snatches the staff from him and levels the business end against Ahsoka's throat.
The head of a Jedi. The scorekeeper will be pleased.
Several blaster rounds strike him across the back before he can deliver the final blow. Hondo is on the ground, rubbing his jaw with one hand while the blaster is in the other.
Thanks. I owe you one.
More than one. Saving a Jedi costs extra.
Meanwhile, Luke and Leia draw their lightsabers as the Trandoshans rush at them. They whoop and roar as they see the wounded trying to escape, but the twins close ranks and deflect their blaster fire. Those who get too close are cut down or tossed aside by Chewbacca. After the first wave falls, a dark figure steps forward with a dual-bladed lightsaber.
Animals. And you will soon join them.
With a sudden whirl, her lightsaber cuts through the darkness, painting the cave in a sickly red light. Both Skywalkers barely manage to bring up their lightsabers and are shoved back by the follow-up attack.
I smell the stench of a Skywalker upon you both.
What is that to you?
She deflects the third sister's attack, then tries to stab her, but is batted aside. Luke steps in and protects her just as the Inquisitor launches an overhead slash.
He slaughtered the Order. And you have the gall to call yourselves Jedi.
Our father is not the man you know. He's changed. He fights against the Empire.
As if that can wash away all his crimes? No. If he truly wishes to make amends, he can pay for it with blood.
With a furious snarl, the third sister throws herself at them. Her attacks are wild, but highly effective, driving both siblings and trying to separate them. Despite their talents, they lack any combat experience and can't match the savagery of the third sister. Instead, the twins change tactics and fight as one. The two stick close and coordinate their attacks, striking at the same time to confuse her, or covering each other's weak points to tire her out. The two manage to back the third sister against the wall as they lock their lightsabers against her. Then a roar echoes from the dark as Chewbacca defeats the last hunters and barrels towards her. Grabbing the third sister by the collar, he lifts her and tosses her to the wall. Before she can recover, Luke and Leia drive their lightsabers into her chest. Neither one can celebrate for long, though, as they begin digging themselves out of the cave. After hours of work, they clear the rubble to find Ahsoka and Hondo working on the other end. Meanwhile, at their ship's crash site, Anakin sees a Trandoshan war camp and begins firing his ship's cannons. The Trandoshans scatter into the woods, but the Mandalorians leap out from the cargo bay and fly after them. Anakin does another sweep and finds the Grand Inquisitor standing atop the ruined ship with his lightsaber ready. Landing, Anakin pulls out his lightsaber. The Grand Inquisitor leaps down and laughs.
Ah, Lord Vader. I must thank you. After your desertion, the Empire has shown me much favor.
Enjoy it, because that favor will be your death.
We shall see.
The two immediately slash at each other, their blades locking, just as does their gaze, their eyes burning in the crimson glow. And then, Anakin shoves him back and advances, throwing quick attacks that the Grand Inquisitor tries to block. Though he might lack elegance, Anakin makes up for it with sheer power. His blows are powerful and send the Grand Inquisitor off balance. He then follows up with a powerful force push that slams him against the ship's ruins.
You are outmatched.
Growling, the Grand Inquisitor leaps behind the rubble, out of sight of Anakin, who slowly follows after him. As he rounds the corner, the Grand Inquisitor leaps at him with a flurry of attacks. Anakin dodges and sidesteps each of these, and riposts with a single cut that forces the hunter to stop mid-swing and defend.
Giving in to the dark side does not mean becoming sloppy. You would be an unfit apprentice for Palpatine.
The Grand Inquisitor tries to end this fight, allowing his lightsaber to spin as he rushes at Anakin, trying to hem him in. The former Sith Lord feels the lightsaber nearing, and at the last second, pushes it aside with the Force, letting the swing narrowly miss him before cutting off the hand holding it. Before the Grand Inquisitor can react, Anakin begins force choking him.
You are a poor prisoner, but might still be useful. Where are my children?
In the forests. Likely dead now.
Careful. Things will not end well for you if I do not like your answer.
The rest of my party is hunting them. They have nowhere to run. But if I were you, I'd be more concerned about your wife.
Anakin silences him with a single slash to the head. He tosses the Grand Inquisitor's lifeless body to the ground before venturing into the woods to search for his family. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.